So I want to thank the Wheat Quality Council as well for the invitation, and I'm going to break the string of scientists that you've had up here, right? So it's kind of fun to walk into a room and you got a ton of people with letters behind their name, and all I can offer you is the last name with a lot of letters. So anyway, thanks to the Kansas Wheat as well for hooking up and going through some of this. So yeah, I'm a grower, but we also have a business. I'm going to go through that. I want to convey to you guys the vision that we have for interacting between the millers and bakers and the farmers, and how to do that. And so to start with, I'm going to go over my story, give you a little bit of an idea who I am. Then we're going to actually discuss this issue with the farmers. All right, it's an issue with the farmers, and we'll go through that graphically, but then also we're going to do the opportunities that are out there, because there's tremendous amount of opportunities to engage farmers and really change some of the quality components that we got going on. So there's the rundown on the left side: Central Kansas Farm Kid, KSU Ag Econ grad, alumni, all that type of stuff. The big thing to understand is the white-haired guy on the right. That's my grandpa. He's 92. Came back from World War II with a Purple Heart, started a family farm. That's my dad that's next to him. He's still on the farm. My grandpa's still on the farm too. It's just he's a little bit more of a retired fashion, you might say. And then my brother there. And then, I don't know, there's some goofy guy that thought he needed a Napoleonic pose as he was sitting there, his hand tucked in his jacket. But anyway, so this is the start of the family farm, okay? This is kind of where it came from. And so when I came back, I sat here and I said, look, there's pain points in the industry, and as a farmer, I think I can solve them. And so we would actually go and interview millers, bakers, AIB, anybody that would pay attention to us, and then we would actually go back to the family farm, and by we, I meant the farming operation, and we'd try to fix those problems. Like, we'd go in and do variety stuff and do fertility stuff and see what happened. And eventually it grew into this group where we were starting to merchandise and help some local farmers with their grain. And now it's grown to this business where we run from Hereford, Texas to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and all across the hard red belt. And what I'm going to discuss with you is mainly attributed to the hard red belt because it's where the most market potential is right now. So from a farmer's viewpoint, and this is going to be hard for me because I'm a guy who likes to pace, but from a farmer's viewpoint here, this is how the market and the farmer's decisions actually overlap, okay? So when I go and harvest a crop in a June time frame, I'm typically starting to make decisions for my next year's crop, okay? Most of your decisions on seed are made within 2 months. Most of your decisions on fertility are starting to be made within this 2 to 3 month period that's right there. But the problem is I have no clue of what the quality market's actually going to be. So the economic decision here is that I base most of my decisions off of a futures market, and I don't pay much attention to what the quality market is. Okay? So you compound that actually with the fact that, like, this year, and granted we had low prices and all this, but 85% of the hard red winter wheat crop was sold to commercial ownership before fall harvest. That's what the USDA said, somewhere around 85%, right? Okay, if that's the case, then I actually made most of my grain sales early in the season, and I took the quality window, and I, as a farmer, didn't sell into it very much, okay? Let alone the fact that most places that I drop off that grain don't ever measure the protein, and they don't even let me know what it is. So when I'm making a decision as I pull off of one harvest to start prepping for the next harvest, the best economic decision for the farmer is if he's going to sell grain not to a mill and not be incentivized for protein, the best economic decision is to figure out how to produce 7% protein wheat and run with it really, really hard, right? And it sounds crazy, but we'll go out and present to farmers, and I got an Ag Econ degree. I can't call myself an economist in this crowd by any means, but there's no reason. If I'm not going to be incentivized, There's absolutely no reason, okay? So it's kind of fun when you have some people in a crowd and you're like, okay, how many people have on-farm storage? And, few raise their hand in hard red country. And it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to that group. And to a certain extent, I'm going to talk to that group today. But to the rest of you, go raise 7% protein wheat if nobody's going to pay you for it, right? Punish the market until it becomes efficient, all right? Now, here's the other thing as we look at it, when we're wanting for variety selection, right? Variety selection is a big component, and you guys recognize that, and it's important. But we're also going to find that we can affect our crop, like Romulo was talking about, and all this sulfur stuff. I'll tell you that on foliar sulfur at flagleaf, I've consistently seen 3-minute increases in farina graft stability. I've seen up to 5 minutes, and it's dependent upon variety. And it's dependent upon practices. So as a farmer, when I'm starting to make my decisions, the market hasn't necessarily defined for me what it wants. I'm left to be cheap. And it's a good economic decision for the farmer, okay? So this is what we do, and we interact with mostly on-farm storage. We do interact with some cooperative members. So based off of the family farm, we go to our growers with 3 ideas. Number 1, know what you produce. Number 2, know who needs it. And number 3, know how to do it again. All right? And we're going to discuss this cool opportunity that we're at this really big convergence for. Okay? But then to mill and bakers, right? Like the guys in this room, we're going to tell you 2 really big things, okay? Number 1, communicate your demand. And I realize it's going to be hard to forecast what that is because as we sit here now, we're trading grain that the farmer made decisions on 20 months ago, right? This protein market that we were in is not predictive. It's responsive. And so we're actually punishing guys for something they did 20 months ago. And the sad part of it is there's a fair amount of growers who don't realize they're being punished for next year. They're actually taking it as a market signal for this year. And if we have a high protein crop, we're going to get taken advantage of as a farmer set, right? Because they're just not going to be there as premiums. Okay? So communicate your demand. The more that you can take what you need and what you know and clearly communicate it to a farmer, the more that he can actually affect his crop, right? Because he gets further into that growing season to do something about it, okay? And the last one is to let the farmer bear the burden of innovation for you, right? If you were to take, and I'm not going to treat farmers like a horse or anything, but if you hang a carrot in front of somebody, right, and say, this is what I need and this is what it's worth to me, then somebody's going to go out there and they're going to figure out how to do it. And chances are there might be 1,000 different ways to do it. And as long as it meets your demand, who cares? Let the best economics guy win. Let the most efficient producer bear all the burden of innovation to solve your problems, right? So that's how we communicate to the farmer and the miller. And here's the opportunity that's in front of you that I think it's just really, really cool, okay? There is a massive amount of agriculture technology that is coming online, right? There are satellites crossing over the sky right now, taking pictures of the color of the wheat and doing the infrared spectrum on top of it, right? We can overlay soil maps with yield maps, with fertility maps, with anything that you want to do. We can take all of this data and we can learn from it based upon the quality of what that farmer is producing. Okay? I forget to tell you this. The solution that we offer is that we actually test the grain load by load as it goes into the bin, and then we store that grain individually in samples that we can call back up within our system. We then do mill and bake analysis on that grain to actually verify what it is, and then we take what produced it to understand how to do it again. Okay? That's how we relate to farmers. I kind of skipped that for you. But the other thing, second thing, so you got this massive convergence of agriculture technology that is making the farmer the most productive person for you guys. Like, can be the most productive person for you guys. Okay? And then you got this culture. that's just swelling, if I'm honest with you. So we go out and talk to farmers all the time. As a matter of fact, as long as the ice isn't bad, I got to be from this place to Burlington, Colorado by 6 o'clock tomorrow night to meet with farmers. And then I'm in McCook, Nebraska on Friday to meet with farmers. And then I got 3 meetings next week across Kansas to talk with farmers. Guys, there is a culture of growers who are sitting here saying, I want to be an ingredient supplier. Like, I want to know what somebody wants. I want them to communicate with me. And then I want to go solve their problem. And there's massive numbers of them. We run into it all the time as we go. And the last thing is that I'm going to challenge you with some of our results is that the commodity crop that we're sourcing isn't actually as much of a commodity as you think. And so to prove this, I got 9 different samples here for you guys. Okay? I'm just going to use sample number 1 kind of as a standard here. So sample number 1 is a farmer who produced 11.7% protein, but has close to a 30-minute phrenograph stability. Okay? It's a guy who knows what he's doing. Okay? If I drop down to number 8, I got a 14% protein, a 13.9, and it comes in with an 8-minute phrenograph stability. Okay? Not that useful, right? So what's cool is number 1, the 11.7 is being sold into a mill. We were able to merchandise that into a mill based upon what its quality was. Number 8 went into a mill as well. And so this sold through a broker who was actually caught short. So those are always really fun sales in grain. But the 14.0 went in, and so I called up the mill and I said, hey, you're going to have some stuff coming into you. Do you want the mill and bake specification on it? And he says, was it any good? I said, no, it's not good at all. He said, don't give it to me. I don't want to be culpable. Right? Because he sourced something that actually wasn't going to do what he needed it to do, but yet we couldn't sell the 11.7 as a 12 because it was an 11.7, right? And here's the fun part of this. Every single one of these samples, as well as every sample in our database, represents a series of agronomic decisions that are being made that affect this crop. And it's done sometimes 20 to 24 months before that grain ever trades and determines its value. So, you communicate demand to us, we can unleash the burden of innovation upon the farmer for him to do absolutely incredible things on behalf of the milling and baking industry. So, this is what we always tell our farmers. The best grain always starts in the hands of the farmer. Best grain always starts there, right? The sad truth of it is, so does the worst, right? So does the worst. And there's sometimes that I have to economically tell the farmer, go make bad stuff. Because it's the right decision on a micro level. Okay? And we can have the argument, is that good for the whole industry and everything? I don't know many farmers here who are going to sacrifice their farm in this time frame just to make sure that the rising tide lifts all boats. Okay? So, that's what I have. I'll be honest with you. The farmers want to work with you guys. They really, really do. So with that, I'll open up to questions. You can, anything database, agronomy-wise, what we're seeing, working with farmers. Shoot, let's go.
I always argue that the real advantage of our grain commodity system is that it's designed to minimize the discounts to an unfortunate farmer. A guy that had sprouted grain, a guy that didn't get his fertilizer on, a guy that had disease. The system is kind of designed to blend all that together to generate commodity type things and lessen the impact on the individual farmer that had this bad luck. Is that the right thing to do?
So I'm going to be really frank here, okay? If you like socialism, yes. Okay? Because that works and you absolutely love it when you're the worst guy, right? And you should detest of it when you're the best guy. All right? If I were to raise my kids, so the backstory to me is I got 4 little girls, all right? They're just a ball of fun, right? But if I have 4 little girls and I don't reward them or champion them when they do something great, and I also don't punish them or disincentivize them when they do something bad, I end up with chaos in my family, right? I mean, that's the way it works at my house anyway, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it works in you guys' houses, right? So in the wheat industry, if I don't incentivize the guys who are doing what I want, and I don't punish the guys who are not doing what I want, I end up with chaos in a grain market. So it's an advantage if you're on the bottom, but I don't think those are the producers you guys want to work with, right? And the other scary part of the industry, as you look at it, is, wheat acres have been shrinking and maybe we're at equilibrium. I don't know. The good farmers that you want to work with are abandoning wheat faster than the rest of the farmers, right? Those guys who are crazy innovative, understand the nutrients, understand how to go push a crop, those guys have left at a faster pace than the average farmer. So the acres you're losing are your better acres in the wheat industry right now.
So will this approach basically displace the whole idea of wheat trading and...
Oh goodness, no, I hope not. Because here's the, so this model's actually been done in beef, okay, in the animal proteins, and I can talk to you about it. I'd love to tell you I'm really innovative and cool. I stole it, all right? That's just, it's been done before with ag, and farmers loved it and adopted it and give a good quality product, right? So beef is the best analogy, right? There are cattle as you drive down a road that you look off one side and you're like, that is going to a white plate in New York. I want that, right? And you look across the other side of the road and you go, it's going to McDonald's, right? I'll eat it at some point, all right? And the same thing has to happen in wheat, right? We will always need commodity wheat. We'll always need that. And the farmer is not a good merchandiser inherently. He's just not, okay? So there's always going to be this flow in the market, but there's also this segment of the market that really needs to be incentivized to go do something really special. Because when you do something really special, you're gonna raise the boats of everybody else, but you're also going to be able to cheaper source something that's really good to blend off with somebody else's, or you're going to be able to go hit a specialty market, right? So no, I don't see it ever replacing that, but what I do see is I see it's an advantageous way to actually really do some good with quality in the wheat market.
Andrew, when you're working with grain buyers to help farmers sell their wheat, whether it's directly to the mill or to a terminal facility or down to Oklahoma to choose such,
Yeah.
what are the buyers, are they all looking for about the same thing when you have conversations, or when it comes to the discussion around quality?
No. I mean, so if for our farmers with protein, it didn't matter, some of the stability sometimes or anything like that. It was an export market because, kudos to U.S. wheat on a big shipment to Iraq on some stuff. But anyway, there was times that the port market was outbidding the mill market by a significant margin. But that's just grain merchandising, right? And the beauty of what we're doing and communicating is you can come up with 6 different things that you're trying to source, right? So I mean, if you want this type of grain to go here and this type of grain to go here and this type of grain to go to somewhere else, I can actually know that this is coming to here, so that makes sense in this circle of growers, right? This freight lane needs to satisfy this demand, and this freight lane needs to satisfy this demand. And once again, we've now had an efficient market that's drawing from a natural draw area, but the farmer's properly incentivized in that area.
With current wheat conditions, what are your farmers looking at as far as management decisions here in the next 60 days?
Yeah, so Western Kansas is less nitrogen by far. Across, the eastern half of Kansas, and I'll even say north central, kind of as we go through some of our growers, if there's freeze damage on the wheat crop right now, it is going to incentivize actually killing off that wheat crop and going in with some other crop in hard red country, because it just economically, it makes sense to do. So when you look at a pound of nitrogen, okay, equate in your mind right now probably somewhere around 34 to 35 cents for a pound of nitrogen going onto the crop for a top dress, right? So if we say we need 200 pounds of nitrogen to always accomplish something like that, that's roughly $70 an acre. Your average cost of production for a farmer probably needs to be in this environment somewhere between 200 and 225 is where he's going to fall. And that's all in. That's not just variable cost, but that's about where he needs to be. So farmers, yeah, there's the question of fertility on it. There's the question of, should I keep the crop? Those are the main ones that we're talking about right now. And thank you for your time.